Back here on Bernie and Sid, and I love this lady. Now become a friend of both of ours. Worked with her, alongside her for years down in South Florida, and terrific talent. 850 WFTL, Joyce Kaufman. So much going on today in the news, and reason why I always like to bring Joyce on is because basically she's in lockstep with Bernie. And I love that when somebody agrees with Bernie all the time. So here she is from down in South Florida, our good friend Joyce Kaufman. Good morning, Joyce.
Yeah. Hey, good morning. Wait, I'm on hold. I'm trying to win tickets on WABC.
You're in. You're talking to the guys.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, is your brother listening right now here in New York?
Yeah, I'm sure he is. You know, it just diminishes you when I'm on the show. He thinks you guys are real talented, but he's not so sure about me.
Oh, listen.
No, that's nice.
I like the self-deprecation, but nothing could be further from the truth, Joyce Kaufman. You're great.
You are great, and we do love you. So listen, before we get to the Trump stuff and sanctuary cities and all that, we were having a discussion yesterday, Bernie and I, about the amount of people that are running out of New York City because of the taxes, all right? And one of the places I like to go to is Florida because there's no state tax there. The point was made that, hold on, thank God people like Ron DeSantis and Rick Scott won, because if folks like Andrew Gillum got in, then maybe that wouldn't be the case. Is that overstated, or is that about right?
No, that's exactly right. And my message to New Yorkers who are considering moving down here, please don't bring your lousy politics with you. Trust us. We know what we're doing down here. We don't need your input.
It is amazing when you see all these crazy Democrats that are now getting all this national attention, Joyce, and they're from here.
Yeah, the woman got 16,000 votes. That's all total. Not 16,000 more votes than the opponents with AOC. How does that rank you as the number one personality in Congress?
That's funny. Hey, speaking of AOC, she's talking about now no money for Israel. That's on the table. That, and also this latest, that they're criticizing Jew-hating terrorist sympathizers who dismiss 9/11 as, some people did something. That's the equivalent of inciting violence. If you criticize that comment, now you can't criticize what they say, the stupid things they say, or you're inciting violence.
Well, listen, that's what the Sharia law is all about. You know, if you can silence people from even criticizing someone who's a Muslim, well, then you've won. I won't stop criticizing these anti-Semites, and that's what they are. They're not anti-Israel. They're anti-Jewish. And really, they've been found out.
And on the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who was actually meeting. My cousin Norm is at the White House today because there's a meeting later. All the Jewish leaders in the Republican Party meeting with Donald Trump. He has proven by moving the embassy to Jerusalem and his relationship with Bibi that he is anything but that. In fact, he's a great friend of Israel. And that's one of the reasons why, Joyce, I've really grown to like this guy, is in fact his relationship with Israel and the Jewish people.
It's funny, I saw your interview at Breitbart, and I'm thinking, Bernie is a powerful dude that he's been able to turn Sid around so utterly and completely.
It's funny. I did the same thing with Greg Gutfeld. He was an anti-Trump guy the whole time I was on with him until the election. He was an anti-Trump guy. And now
Bill O'Reilly,
he's completely flipped. He loves Trump more than Don Trump Jr. loves Donald Trump. So that's two.
He's not hard to love, man. He does, he does so well.
Yeah, no, you can't argue with results. He's not perfect. He's a little unruly. He messes things up a little bit, but too bad. When you're fighting these ruthless bastards on the left who throw the R word around, if you don't fight back, you're going to lose. And he fights back, and that's why we like him. And speaking of which, this Mueller report, now these people, they don't know what to do anymore. Now it's get his taxes. They're denying the reality that there was no collusion. They're losing their minds.
Yeah, they've already lost their minds. And you know what? It just guarantees him an even bigger victory in 2020. I hope they keep it up. I hope more Bill Wells come along and tell you about how they can do better than Donald Trump.
Yeah, Bill Wells.
Yeah, he's a deadhead. I give him props for that. But other than that, What did he do for Massachusetts? He became a liberal.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Right.
no. Listen, not only that, the guy likes to have a pop. Believe it or not, I know this guy Bill very well.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, Joyce Kaufman, every afternoon, 8:50 WFTL down in Florida. Bill Weld may not provide any competition, but I do believe whoever wins on the left, whether it's Bernie Sanders, something against Joe Biden, I do think, even though we are all appreciative of what Donald Trump has done, that he's still in for the race of his life. You don't agree with that?
I don't agree with that. I think, I've been predicting for months now that this is going to be a massive victory because everything that the left is doing is alienating so many Americans. That same forgotten man feels less forgotten with Donald Trump, but they're listening to this nonsense and they realize that but for the grace of God, that's what's going to happen to them. They're going to be marginalized. They're going to be overtaxed. You can't tax billionaires into health care. That's not going to work. So inevitably, the billionaires flee, and the middle class ends up paying those taxes. The American public is collectively very smart. I know a lot of dumb individuals, but collectively, we're pretty smart.
True, yes, and they are scaring the hell out of the electorate with the lunatic new Green Deal, no private health insurance, the Jew-hating open borders. Speaking of which, Joyce Kaufman, the open border thing, Trump's proposal, which I believe he's just trolling them. He's not going to actually do this. This is my belief. Anyway, to send these illegal immigrants to the sanctuary cities. And he's got all these so-called compassionate illegal immigrant compassionate politicians saying, no, we don't want them here. I mean, he's really exposed them for the hypocrites that they are.
And that's what he does best. But, this is not a new idea. I proposed this months ago. I said what we should do is we should have giant parking lots along the border, like they do at Disney World. We could have Goofy and Pluto and Mickey. And then we have courtesy buses that take them to the various sanctuary cities where they'd be most welcome. This bus is going to New York. No offense, guys. This bus is going to San Francisco.
No, we don't want that.
This bus is, and just have those courtesy buses for them. How could you be mad at that?
Well, I got to tell you, years ago, before Trump even won, and you and I was on your show, and we shared the same studios in Pompano Beach. And and of course, your daughter lives in San Francisco. Your grandchildren are in San Francisco. You go there often. And I remember you bitching, Joyce, years ago about the folks, the illegals in San Francisco. Even before Donald Trump won the presidency, you were there, right? We're there in Coulter. So this to you is a passion of yours for many years.
Absolutely. And, some of these things that seem so absurd to you or maybe to most people don't seem absurd to me at all. I think that sanctuary cities are a horrifying idea. You shouldn't have places in this country that harbor criminals. And that's exactly what you're going to end up with. It's not just illegal immigrants. It's MS-13 gang members. It's drunk drivers. It's a number of, criminal elements. If you want them in your city, then fine. Don't ask me to put them in my city.
No, that is true. But look, to be serious, the president did campaign on sealing the border. And I know it's difficult because he can't get the cooperation of Congress. I really don't want him to send these people to the sanctuary cities. He exposed them as the hypocrites they are. But he's got to just close the border, do something. He's got to stop the bleeding. He can't encourage the bleeding to continue. To be serious, Joyce.
Yeah, I think that's true, that there's a lot more we could do to secure the border. We can't close it. There's a lot of trade that goes on, and immediately you'll have businesses in an uproar, and you'll have people who travel back and forth for commerce in trouble. But I do believe that you can certainly eliminate these sanctuary cities. If that concept is so appealing to the criminal element, and that's why you find them mostly in those major cities. And in terms of sealing the border, whatever you do, you better have a better story than the left. Because the left will tug at their heartstrings with these fathers being sent away from their families and all the rest of it. And we don't do a very good job at explaining how angel families are ripped apart and that's a permanent situation.
Right.
They don't get to go back.
Right. Wrap it up lighthearted. When you were here, of course, Joyce, you were a diehard New York Knicks fan. You do every now and then harken back to the days of Willis Reed and Walt Frazier. Those are your teams when you were here in New York City. And your guy down there in Miami, Dwayne Wade, did his last game ever a couple of days ago. I know you do political and news talk, Joyce, but was the Dwayne Wade retirement a couple of days ago the biggest news for the week?
It was pretty big news, but you know what? Dwayne Wade, some left-wing lunatic. He's always backing off. Him and Gabrielle Union, like I give a rat's patoot what they think about politics.
Oh, my. That's
You're
great.
also to Joyce Kaufman. I think you got the spunk. You got spunk. You know, I like that. Spunk. Hey, Joyce Kaufman, you're great. You really are. You do have spunk. You got fire.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate you appearing on the Bernie and Sid show on WABC.
Thank you, guys. Hi, my brother Al.
Hello, Al. Great job as always, Joyce. How about that? Dwayne Wade, that left-wing lunatic. 1-800-848-WABC.